What's the end goal of all this? What's the end goal of Sanatan Dharma?
To attain, that's what, divinize yourself, change yourself as a human. That is the one problem of the world across centuries. All philosophies you read, end of the day, the one question that people have struggled with is that, why am I suffering? If you are born, you will suffer. Lord Rama also had periods of suffering, at least in the text that is mentioned. So you and me, we are ordinary people, we will suffer. So how do you end suffering? You end suffering by transcending yourself from the human condition to a divine condition, by becoming a reflection of the deity. Now, suppose the deity you are worshipping is Smashantara, cremation ground Tara. Then you worship the method through which it has to be worshipped, her worship occurs, which she likes, so that eventually you end up into a state where you reflect that energy of the deity, you transcend your humanness, you go beyond suffering, you go beyond into that state. That is the final goal. By pursuing a deity, you are already on the path of evolution, because the deity's consciousness is much higher. That is why we are worshipping. The whole world functions in this principle that he or she or whatever has lesser energy gets automatically drawn, or the word we use, which I think is more accurate, Shakti. Those that individual process, anything that has lesser Shakti gets organically drawn towards that which has a higher Shakti. Today, a film star goes, everybody goes crazy. The film stars come. Why? Because for good or bad, he or she has a Shakti. Fame is a Shakti. Power, money is a Shakti. Prime Minister is a Shakti. Military power is one kind of Shakti. Writing is a Shakti. Speaking is a Shakti. These are all manifestations of power. Okay, Tantra says that power is divine. Divinizing power is the key goal, philosophical goal of Tantra, because there are asuric powers also. We don't want to go there. We want powers that originate from the deities. Okay, and then the use of that power is not based on your ego, it's on the command of the deity. So basically, the idea is that you not only survive, you don't just survive, you triumph over life. And that can only be done by deity. You cannot do that. Human beings are flawed. Human birth is meant for suffering. Some of the other suffering will come. Doesn't matter how good your horoscope one may have. Suffering is going to come. The only way you go beyond suffering is you transform yourself into the reflection of the deity. That is the end goal of upasana.
So there's some point in your own spiritual journey where you will have the ticket to escape the cycle of birth and death.
Yes, that is what we call moksha traditionally.
Okay. And every Tantra Upasak who sticks to the process over lifetimes will eventually reach that goal.
Yeah, but more than that, what I personally feel, the aim is not even escaping from life and birth. You become a reflection of the deity. If you escape from life and death, that's, to give a rough analogy, suppose there's a group of people playing video games. So you just say that, okay, I'm done, I'm bored, out of it, fine. But what if there's somebody who says, no, I'm not done, but I will become such a terrific player that I'll never lose? Which is more fun? You tell me.
Understood. So there could be Upasaks
Yes.
who cross that point of moksha and say, no, actually I'll just stay back.
Huh? Whether they cross or not, I don't know. But there are great, terrific, powerful souls who do not transcend completely. They stay back and they guide, and they may not be in the forefront. And they are so powerful that they are almost a reflection of the deity they have worshipped. There is a particular section in some of the Kashmiri Shaiva texts which I had read long back, if I remember it correctly. So they say categorization of Shaktipat. Shaktipat is transformation that the Guru makes on an individual by the infusion of Shakti power, divine power. Some souls, it says, get instantly liberated, but liberation does not necessarily mean that completely out of the cycle or something like that, but they become such powerful reflections of Shiva, because Shiva is the ultimate goal in the Shaiva, Kashmiri Shaiva path. They become such powerful reflections of Shiva or Bhairava, Parama Bhairava, who is the Para Bhairava, great Bhairava, and they in turn are absolutely free. So remember this, freedom is one of the goals of Upasana. Freedom means you, me, anybody else, we are not free. There is always some or the other binding that is there in your mind. Whether, okay, you have to finish your work, you have to go home, you have to eat your food at this moment, 10 people may be dependent on you, this and that. Those are not freedoms. Okay. To be free is something that only a deity understands. Humans don't understand. We have never been free. From birth to death, nobody is ever free. Okay. But there is an absolute freedom And in that state of freedom, they can guide other souls also. Okay, they may not even have a physical form. So there are siddhas like this in the Himalayas or other places, etc. They have not left the system. They're not the people who have just switched off the computer and said, I'm not playing the game. They are in the game, but in a different manner, and they have tremendous amount of freedom. They have transcended their human ego completely. They have divinized themselves, and they do not make mistakes because they are guided by forces even higher than them.
Hmm.
For example, just to, it's a theoretical thing. Say the famous being who is widely known as Mahavatar Babaji. Okay, somebody like that exists, but he is something. It's like like the soul, the Atman. He can take up a body at will. So what does it look like? He can look like anything he wants. What kind of freedom is there? So he, wherever he may be, his consciousness, from there he can guide so many people. He doesn't need to manifest himself.
What's the difference between Mahavatar Babaji and the divinity that the world references as God?
What the word God means in the Western culture is different from what we mean in Hinduism. Hinduism, we have a corresponding idea. It's called the Ishvara. Ishvara is a tattva, by the way. Ishvara is one deity uh, who has tremendous opulence and power. But that doesn't end here. Remember, I told you right at the beginning that there is also the concept of the Brahman, which is even higher. So there is never going to be one mistake we should not do is try to tailor Hinduism according to the ideas of Abrahamic religions, because these two are separate paths. Have a healthy respect for each other, but don't fall into the trap that, okay, there is a God, so we need to have a God. No, we have a Brahman, which is higher than God. Okay. So this is, if you look at the image, tantric image of Lalita Mahatripur Sundari or Dakshina Kali, you will see that she sits on a throne where there are 5 Ishwaras. Imagine, Ishwara is a tattva. Tattva means a certain set of qualities. It is like you pass class 12 and you get a certificate. So whoever gets that certificate is an Ishwara, suppose. Okay, so there are 5 Ishwaras, Brahma, Vishnu, Rudra, and there is another Ishwara. They are holding the throne. On the top of the throne, there is Sadashiva. That is another tattva. Okay, Sadashiva is, we already worship Sadashiva as a great, fantastic, all-powerful being. So these concepts are so vast that you cannot even imagine, by the way. By the time this image, it has been drawn, because it's passing on certain very deep information into the Upasaka's subconscious, into his psyche. The rational mind cannot fathom what is Sadashiva. It cannot even fathom Ishvara. Ishvara is so vast. Beyond Sadashiva, then there is Mahakal, if you are looking at Kali, okay, Dakshina Kali. And beyond Mahakal, there is Dakshina Kali. You cannot imagine what is Sadashiva, you cannot imagine what is Ishvara. How will you imagine what is Kali? It is so vast. The idea this image was created is that through holy art, divine images and arts, which also have a own rational logic in it, rationality that is based not the standard, the rationality of the 5 senses, but rationality of a spiritual nature, which the rishis understand. They are able to transmit an energy into the Upasaka's subconscious mind, by which he slowly transforms as he worships that deity. So on day one, you may not be able to, you can understand this in theory, but you don't fully understand. For example, Kamakhya, the image of Ma Kamakhya, if you see, very standard image. These days, though, she's there on the internet everywhere. I see every second person speaking on Kamakhya, which is wonderful. But the image shows that there's a lion. On top of the lion, there is a white, like a dead body. From the navel of the dead body, there is a lotus flower. On top of the lotus flower, there's a deity with 6 faces and 12 arms and weapons. Okay, that deity is Kamakhya. Now, this image, they say that the lion is Vishnu. Okay, on top of that, there's Shiva. Shiva lying down like a preta, Shwet preta, white preta. On that, there's a lotus, that is Brahma. And then on that is sitting the great goddess Kamakhya. Why this kind of an image? What does it mean, really? Why? So this much information you will get over the internet and texts 100 times. But there is a deeper essence of this image that will only come into the consciousness of the Upasaka after he has been worshipping this deity for a very long time. And it is not subject to the fact that just because you know the mantra of Kamakhya, you will understand what this image means. A simple interpretation is that the lion is dharma. Okay, so basically, if you are only a person who is a fearless worshipper, fearless upholder of dharma. Because lion's first characteristic is that it is not scared. That's why the lion, not a deer, not any other animal. Lion is like the king. A lion is a fighter. Lion is something that's more aggressive. So you aggressively follow what is dharma, regardless of the obstacles, regardless of adversaries. When that stage has been perfected in the upasaka's life, then he comes to the stage of a preta. Preta means now he loses interest in the material world completely. That is Shiva. It's like a cremation ground. You're nothing in the world around you attracts you anymore. You have already done your duty for dharma. And mind you, this duty has to be something very aggressive because it's a lion. It's not a goat or a deer or a cow even. It's a lion. That quality, that tattva is there. Then he becomes somebody who's so detached like Shiva. When he or she has reached that stage, after that there is a new creation that comes in. Lotus is signifying something, a divine creation, and on top of that the deity manifests as Kamakhya. So these qualities, until one passes through these stages, you can keep chanting the mantras and you can worship, but you will not realize the deity easily.
Okay.